I seem to have stripped the lug on this Honda Civic. The splines in the actual hub are stripped so you can spin this freely. So I thought I'd show replacing this. First thing I did was jack up the car in the jack spot. So I'm just going to remove these lug nuts now. Now I'm going to remove the tire. There are 2 bolts holding the caliper on. You can see right there, and there's another one. I'm assuming you can see it down there. I'm going to remove those now. Bottom one, here's the top one. I'm just going to use this string and secure the caliper up here. You don't want to put any stress on the brake lines. So this just will pull off like this. So I have it secured like that. That'll just keep it out of the way. To remove these screws, these aren't normal Phillips head. These are like JAS, I think is what they call them. So they're Japanese. So the closest thing you have in the US is like a P3 Phillips head. See, if I were to strip these pretty bad, so I gotta be careful. I'm also using an impact driver. You need to use an impact to get them loose, otherwise you'll screw up the heads like I already did. What I do now is using a chisel. I'm going to come in at an angle and see if I could get these loose. I'm not going to put these back in. You don't need these anyways, since you put the wheel directly over this and it holds it in place. Hopefully I could get them loose doing this. Okay, all my attempts with the chisel pretty much fail. So what I had to do was weld a small screw to the head of the screw. So I just stuck an M5 screw into the hollowed out hole that I had made, and then I held it with the Allen wrench like this. Then I just got in here with the TIG and just hit it hard. I had it at 150 amps so it would melt it quickly, but not transfer too much heat. But the heat does help loosen it inside, is what I found, because it superheats the screw very quickly, and it allows it to move, and I was able to get them off easily. So these are both of my welded little screws now. These are junk. I'm not going to use these again. I would suggest not using these if you put them back on, because I remember last time too, I didn't put them on tight, but for some reason they weld themselves in there, and there's all this junk in here that builds up, and it makes them very difficult to get out. So I'm not going to use these again. You should be able to just remove the rotor fairly easily. If it's a little stuck on the inside, corrosion will build up and adhere it to it. You could just use a mallet, just slightly tap on the back side, and it'll come off. Put this somewhere where it can't get damaged. I want to see if I could turn the wheel so we could see the top of the stud. This is the stud right here, but I want to see it up here. So it's loose, and looks like it might interfere with the back of the hub right here. I don't know if you could even hammer these out. It looks like if I try to hammer it out, it's just gonna contact the edge of the hub back here. Yeah, it cannot come out this way because the edge of the hub is right there. You can see that it's recessed past this edge right here, so it can't possibly come out. Okay, I've done some research, and the only way to take them off correctly without having to cut anything is to actually remove the hub. When you do this, you chance damaging stuff like the bearing, and then you have to replace that and whatever else you screw up while you take it off. So what I'm going to try to do is just cut right here. I'm going to make a slit right here, and bend the splash guard down so I can have some clearance this way. That way I'll have clearance to move this out. And for this, I'm just going to take a cutoff wheel. It's very thin. I'm just going to use that as a grinding wheel and grind the head flat right here that I could access. Then I'm going to spin the flat part around where it's perpendicular to this surface right here. And I should have enough clearance to remove the stud. For the new stud, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to have to grind a flat part on the head for it to clear this area right here. This isn't the correct way to do this, but it'll be quick and it won't affect function. I'm going to put some Loctite and stuff in here so this is solid. Once you torque this down and this gets compressed, there's going to be so much friction right here under the head, you don't have to worry about anything. Okay, I was able to get this stud out. I wasn't able to get on the actual shaft part of it. You can see it sticks out quite a bit. that was an issue. So what I had to do was grind a tiny bit just on the shoulder there. It doesn't affect the strength because that's just excess material. It can't take load right there. So I just ground it down and I was able to fit it through. You can see this fits in like this. Also, I had to cut these shafts, cut it pretty much right at the thread so it'll come off. So that's how it fits in. So I was able to just push it out. Okay, so I got a new lug, and here's the old lug to compare against. Luckily, this is still oversized compared to this hole. I was thinking that I had walleted this out whenever this had rotated and stripped. Luckily, it looked like it just stripped these splines off of here, and this maintained the same size. This is still around 12.5 millimeters, and this is right around 12 millimeters. So there's still plenty of interference, and when I put this in, it should still be able to take the torque. I'm probably going to put a tack weld on the edge just in case though. So what I'm going to do now is match the profile that I cut out on this part to this part so I know it'll fit, and then I'm probably going to have to grind a little bit on this hub. I don't like doing this at all, but it beats having to press the new hub out and risk damaging the bearing and everything else. Plus I would have to get another press, which I don't want to have. So I'm going to grind this area right here, try to maintain as much as possible, and only grind off as much as I need for this to fit. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to start out with the cutoff wheel right here and then finish this off on the grinding wheel. Okay, I was able to get it on. I ended up using the Dremel tool just because the grinder was too big. So here's an idea of how much I had to grind down. You can see from the side how much of a radius I had to take out. Wasn't too bad. It shouldn't weaken it to failure. Obviously I feel safe doing this, otherwise I wouldn't do it. So this is enough to clear it. I just tapped it in until it went in. It was still a very tight fit. I probably can't get it out without a lot of tapping, but that's how it goes in. Now I just need to suck it in and hope that these splines bite into it. I'm still going to tack weld it like I said earlier, but I want a lot of the strength going into the splines. Okay, to install this, I'm going to make sure these threads are very clean. I'm going to put just a tiny bit of anti-seize on there. I'm going to put some washers I have. I'm going to put the brand new lug nut that I got so I know it's clean. And all this is going to do is pull the lug through, so I'm just going to apply some torque to this. I'll also keep it concentric. It looks like it's pretty well seated. Well, there's a tiny bit of gap there, so I need to suck it in a tiny bit more. With the lug secure, I'm going to reattach the caliper, so both of these bolts will be torqued down to 80 foot-pounds. Now I'm going to put the wheel back on. All I need to do is line up the lugs to the holes. I'm going to put my new lug first. And actually, I'm going to put a dab of anti-seize on the very end of the thread. With the tire secure, I'm going to go and drop it off the floor jack so I could have friction to tighten up the lugs. Okay, tighten up the lugs is straightforward. Always go in a crisscross pattern. Don't tighten up all the way the first time. I'm just going to snug them up. This should not click. I have it set to the 80 foot-pounds. I'm just going to snug them up. Now I'm going to apply the full torque to the first one I started with. So make sure you support the bottom. Press down. Try to keep pure rotation. You don't want to press upward or downward on this too much, or you're not putting the actual torque into the fastener. And that is replacing a lug on an 01 to 05 Civic. This is the Redneck way. I would not suggest doing this if you have a shop press or other tools available. I do not have these tools available, so I just did it a quick and dirty way. But it does work, and I'm not concerned with the hub splitting apart or anything like that on the little bit that I ground off.
Thanks for watching.